Hey guys, so this morning we are here at Wilbert Vault Company, which is also a concrete company, and you'll find that a lot of vault companies are also concrete companies because if they're pouring the concrete and they pour out the vaults, it's the same thing as a lot of other basic concrete products like septic tanks and things like that. So here this morning I'm going to do a little tour and going to do some education on the differences between types of vaults, and we are going to learn a lot, so stick with me. So let's do a quick reminder of what a vault is before we get into the tour and before we get into everything. So the vault is that concrete box that the casket is put in a cemetery. State does not require it, but the cemetery does. And it's kind of a twofold item. It protects the casket from the elements around it, the groundwater, and dirt, and trucks driving on top, or equipment within the cemetery, you know, mowers and trucks, and you know, trucks that come and set monuments, you know, headstones around the cemetery. Protects the casket in the ground from that pressure. It also protects the pressure from the soil around it from caving in to the pressing in on that casket. So if you look in the old sections of cemeteries, the ground kind of goes like this because there were not vaults, and so that ground is caved in and pressed in around the casket, and a lot of those caskets are probably breached inside where they've kind of imploded or crushed a little bit because of that ground pressure. So the vault protects from the elements around, from that pressure, from what's happening up on top of the soil, and so you typically don't see it at the cemetery. The base is usually already in the grave when you get to the cemetery, and the lid is off to the side. So we're going to take a closer look at that because that's something you have to purchase when you go to the funeral home if you're doing a burial. And that's something you have to make a decision about. And you know, do you want one that seals? Do you want one that doesn't seal? So we're going to look at what those seals look like, and we're going to look at what a basic vault looks like. They all meet the requirements, but you can do a grave liner or you can do a vault. So the lingo from within the business, the grave liner is that basic concrete bottom with a flat top, but a vault has a seal on it and a liner within it. So a little bit of terminology, a little confusing there, but you'll understand more as we get into it and as we break it all down. All right, so we are here in the vault company, and this is where they cast to the base of the vaults. So what they have here, they have done and figured out how many vaults of each type that they're going to need for a week. So they do a certain amount of vaults every week of each different type because of what the demand is each week. They keep about a month's worth of vaults in stock because they know kind of what the trends are going to be and what they're going to need over time for consumers, between who buys them and what they have to ship out. So we've got a couple different types of vaults here that are just in kind of prefab casting sort of stage. So we've got the lid that is cast on top and then the base below. So this is a kind of midline vault, so you'll notice it's got the arch to it. And then here we've got a basic grave liner. So the top is flat. So a flat top sits on the bottom. This is the most basic that you can get. There's no seal in it, there is no liner in it. And so all it does is protect from the pressure of the ground caving in around the casket inside, or from equipment within the cemetery as they're driving over it, pressing in on that casket. So it doesn't meet the requirements, but it does not protect against water or possibly dirt getting in there because there is no seal to it. So this is this week's that are in their forms waiting to be pressed out And in a few minutes we're gonna go watch one coming out of the mold so you can see what that kind of looks like. I want to interject here a little bit from the literature that they have given me at the vault company. So I think what is crucial to look at is this picture that shows, so you're at a cemetery, and this is the underground, and so this kind of gives an idea when you have no burial vault, when you have the unlined grave liner vault, and then when you have a standard lined and sealed burial vault. Just gives a little overview of the different kind of vaults and what actually will happen under the ground. And then if you look at the headstones above the ground, you can see like this one is sinking down and in the ground. So just kind of an overview and an idea of that. Okay, now where we are is where the lids and the liners are for the vaults that seal. So this here is a plastic liner that is added to the lid of a vault. So this will get sealed into the top of the vault, and in around this edge is the plastic seal. Now this seal is the same type of a seal that is around the windows in an airplane. So it is heavy, heavy duty. So this would go in the lid, and then these are the liners that would go in the bottom. Heavy plastic liner that goes into it, and then that lid and the base are then connected together and they form the seal with the tongue groove. So I'll show you also where this goes within the vault on an actual vault. So when the epoxy, the sealant for the vault lids comes, it comes in a roll like this. And so you literally unroll it and press it in the whole liner. So that's one person's job, is going and getting all those lids done so that they can go in the vault lids. So they unroll them all and do them. So there's also urn vaults that are smaller, so when they do the lids, typically they'll send that roll to the funeral director, and so when the funeral director seals it, they put that roll of epoxy, that sealant, in the lid before it gets pressed down and on to the base. So kind of a cool thing to see how that comes to us. Okay, now we are in kind of the curing room for the concrete. Concrete usually cures about a month before it's at its hardest and ready for use. So what you see here, these are all lids for vaults that are being stored, getting ready to be used. And then what they've done is pulled down and have lined up here lids for customers that's what they've ordered for the week, or beginning of next week. And so they paint them to specifications of what the customer has asked for. You can paint a vault pretty much any color you want. Some of the lower end vaults, the lower priced ones, kind of come set colors, but as you kind of go up in levels, you can custom do paints, Say you want a red and white if you're an Ohio State fan, or you want and not trying to think, you know, a teenager who loved teal, and so they can make a teal color and paint the vault that color. They can personalize with pictures on the lids, you know, and place, show the lid and place a picture in the lid. They do the name and the dates, so you can really personalize. Even though you see this for such a limited amount of time out at the cemetery, you can still personalize that vault just as much as you can anything else that you're doing. Okay, so this is one of those vaults with that liner, that plastic liner sealed into it. So they take the concrete base, they put in the liner, and they adhere it to it, and they put the spray coat on the outside. I'm not going to touch it because these are a little tacky still, to create a moisture barrier from the groundwater into the actual concrete. So this is the inside of the vault, and it's got this this kind of groove to it, as you can see. You show it from the side a little bit. There you go. So it's got this groove to it, and then we're going to run here across to the lids without me tripping over a lid, so that I can show you if we can see. So these are the lids. This has that plastic piece already pressed up and in it, and that sticky residue right here. So that groove here, this groove here, seats into the groove on the base, creates a lock. So if we've done disinterments where we have to disinter the body for any reason, and we pull the vault up, these lids do not come off easily. Usually it takes a lot of crowbar, a lot of manpower to break, or woman power, to break that lid off, to get it off, to get inside to the actual casket if we needed to do that, because that seal is so tight on it. So that's one thing to decide, is if you want that seal, if that seal is important to you, or if you want that basic grave liner where the lid is just placed flat on top of it. We're also going to look at some options with that open bottom for a urn burial. So we're going to go, and I'm going to show you that next. Okay, for those of you who like the whole urn burial, but maybe your cemetery doesn't allow it, so they've come up with an open bottom vault, which I've talked about a little bit before. So we're going to take a peek at one of those.
Does that work for you, or would you like it out in the light?
No, that's good. So you can see the bottom is just open enough so that the casket can be right to the earth. A lot of Jewish families may choose this as well too, and so what they've also done is split the lid so that a family can, then we can hook straps in rather than using the truck, and the family can lower the lid down onto the base of the vault as well, so that way it's the most hands-on, back to the earth approach when a vault has to be used. Okay, so I'm going to show you another style of a vault here. This one is a liner inside and a liner outside. So got the plastic liner on the inside, but the whole outside is also a plastic exterior. So rather than that spray coat on the outside of the concrete like you have here, this one's tacky as well, so I don't want to touch it. You've got this plastic on the outside. So definitely more protective, keeps out moisture a lot more than the spray coating would. So I'm going to show you the outside, or the lid to that vault as well. So as you can see, a lot more ornate. It does come in different colors, and then they can put the name on it also. So then we're going to turn here to this vault. This is one that has been, one of the concrete that has been sprayed and coated already. So this has a silver and a white coating coloring on it, so you can see how you could do different color options to it. So when it's sitting here waiting to go for the burial, they've got like a spacer here, so the lid and the base don't, you know, that you don't want that base to touch that lid, because once it connects to that bonding agent, that seal, it's sealed. There's no way to undo it there. Kind of look and show you a couple different things here as we're walking through. I think it's just amazing to see, you know, all the different, like these are all waiting and are all ready for new burials, and that these are going to be somewhere and somebody's going to be buried in them is just kind of a surreal thought as I'm here. They said the #1 thing that they make is for vaults is these, which are the grave liners, the basic vault. So you can see that flat top on the flat base, just basic heavy-duty reinforced concrete, but there is no spray coating on the outside, there's nothing on the inside, it is just this concrete. So, which is why it's easy for a vault company to transition over to doing concrete products, because they're already making basically what a septic tank base is, because that's kind of the same thing, just different form. Okay, gonna show you another little option here. So this little guy would be for an urn burial. So they would spray, you could spray this the same as you would a vault in different colors, and put the urn down inside to bury it out at the cemetery. So you would get some protection of the urn from the probing if you had to find the urn later, and just protects from the ground pressing in around that urn. So if it was, you wanted a wood urn, then you could still bury it without it deteriorating over time, because it would be in this durable little guy. So awesome option that they offer for urns and for, you know, memorial type burials. So I talked a little about the concrete side of things, so I'm going to just give a peek into what else they do here at this facility. So this is where they do septic tanks, some of the septic tanks, the larger septic tanks. Those are the forms for some of the larger septic tanks. But they also do for large sewer and products. So see, they have all the forms for that. Some pretty legit equipment here that they have for doing bigger, larger products. But like they've said, this part of the business helps make the vault part of their business a lot more successful. Not successful, but allows for more advanced things within the vault company side of things, and allows for slower parts over there that their workers can keep working and not have to worry about the ebb and flow of the funeral business affecting the vault business here, because they're still going to have business generating on the concrete side of it. So to the cemetery, they will send a vault truck that sometimes will have kind of the boom lift system and a driver, and so the driver gets there. Now some cemeteries, to go back, some cemeteries do like the tent and everything themselves, and they'll just drop the vault off to the cemetery to handle it. Some of the cemeteries, though, they don't do that. They just dig the grave, and then the vault company comes in, sets the vault, sets up the tent, sets up the chairs, sets up all the equipment, and they do that whole part of it. So some of these trucks are just trucks for transport, so they'll just have some vaults on here that they'll take and they'll get set up. But some of them have equipment areas to hold chairs and the tent and everything. So these guys work in some horrible weather, horrible, you know, kind of situations sometimes where it's -10 wind chill, but the family wants a graveside service. So they're out there setting up a tent, setting up all the equipment, getting the vault set in that freezing cold weather, so that when you show up at the cemetery and are sitting there and having your graveside somebody's already been there working for a long time, and then after you leave, someone still has to say, break that all down, put the lid on the vault, and then the people who dig the grave then come in and fill the grave in. So there's all that behind the scenes work and all that behind the scenes manpower that goes into it that I give so much credit to them, because they're working in some horrible situations. They're making a lot of loud noise here too for me. So yeah, so this is, you'll see these trucks driving down the road sometimes that they've got vaults on them that they're headed to a graveside, or maybe they're just going to drop them off at a cemetery. Well, I think that completes our tour, so hopefully you guys got a little more information out of what is a vault and what are the different styles of vault, and maybe what's important to you when it comes to a vault, so that you can make a better educated choice when you're choosing a vault for yourself or for your loved one, when you're actually at the funeral home and have to make those decisions. So grave liner, ceiling vault, you can choose colors, you can do kind of that full plastic inside and outside coating, or you can do a basic, or if you have an urn you can still do a vault. So a lot of decisions to make, but making them with an educated background is always the better way to make these choices. So let me know if you guys have any more questions about this business. They've kind of given me free reign. They're awesome. This place is multi-generational, family owned. You've got to love that about a business. You've got to love that you can trust even this part of caring for your loved one to a family-based company. So just let me know if you have more questions, and I can always come back and do more hands-on and get you guys some answers. Talk to you soon.